It has been 2.5 years since Naruto Uzumaki left Konoha, the Hidden Leaf Village, for intense training following events which fuel his desire to become stronger. Now, the Akatsuki, the mysterious organization of elite rogue ninja, is closing in on their grand plan, which may threaten the safety of the entire shinobi world. Although Naruto is older and serious events looming on the horizon, he has changed little in personality, still rambunctious and childish, though he is far more confident and possesses an even more greater determination to protect his friends at home. Come whatever may, Naruto will carry on the fight for what is important to him, even at the expense of his own body, in the continuation of a saga about a boy who wishes to become Hokage. This is the Naruto series, lovely. It has 500 episodes and it is finished airing. It premiered February 15th, 2007 to March 23rd, 2017. Based off the popular manga series, it is action, adventure, comedy. Themes are martial arts, powers, and shonen for demographic. Each episode is 23 minutes per episode and rated PG-13, along with prequels, a lot of movies, spin-offs, and other alterations, and Boruto is the sequel to that, and Boruto the Next Generation as well. So let's get started into the review. Now, Naruto Shippuden is one of the animes that I had stuck through all the way through high school and finished it up when it finally was over. Then I started getting to Boruto. But I'll talk about Boruto in a different anime review. I think overall, with Naruto being what it was, it sold over 220 million manga copies and has an expansion of video games, movies, spin-offs, and other franchises, and a little TV short as well. I will say, by no means, when it first came out, of course, when they were younger, when Naruto was first starting, it was just a lot of, when the episodes first came out, a lot of filler, a lot of backstory, that was fine. But and then when I was Shippuden, with it being 500 episodes, it is by no means a perfect anime, don't get me wrong. But this anime also had a lot of filler, which it dealt with trying to pick up the paces with different characters' backstory, different information, just side quests, which was fine for the time. And I feel like, bear with me here, that this is one of the animes that I think, besides many others in my life that I have watched, was one of the anime that gave, the whole meaning of determination, and Naruto being that role model of, even though Naruto, he has a very painful past and what he's gone through, and when he matures up, being gone for 2.5 years, training with Jiraiya, he, still the same personality, but has more of a stronger drive to protect his friends and his village, and, and that's what made the series popular as well. Now, the series that are still going that, kind of outlasting Naruto Shippuden in this case, well, Boruto is still going on and still clocking up more episodes as we speak. It might surpass the Naruto Shippuden episodes. We have no idea because the episodes are still coming out as we speak. I feel like the Naruto story is a big melting pot. Not as bad as another anime I'm going to review. Probably will tell y'all in this a bit. I'm gonna review Berserk next. But I feel like with Naruto, it has a beautiful storytelling that wasn't seen for anime of its time, especially in the shoujin anime. There were a lot of things that were very unpredictable. It was thrilling. It did play with your emotions. Sometimes you laughed, sometimes you cried, sometimes you were just shocked by what the tragedy and trauma you face along with these characters. And sometimes it was downright frustrating because all these trials and tribulations that the characters went through, you were kind of rooting them to the end and try to hope for the best. And when you see them grow up, and also I do not want to hear that Sakura is trash in the comments. I will have no disrespect. All the female characters have grown and adapted and developed, so no downgrading Sakura, please, in my comments. But on another, back on the topic at hand, I feel like the series kind of eased you back into the world of Naruto, especially with him being gone for the 2 years. Kind of did that pacing of, kind of discussing Naruto's journey and how he's kind of matured at some point, besides some of his, typical behavior. But now, given the story where it is now, where they're more like young adults, they're more presented with a collection of bigger threats of, the more of the character development of Sasuke and the Akatsuki, and their parallel and their whole mission, and a lot of darker, mature themes that it managed to execute flawlessly. And I think also the story is mainly filled, along with filler episodes and the pacing, you kind of delve down. But I think the amount of the anime in total that concludes filler is around 219, which kind of makes up the majority of the series. But I feel like even the filler episode, it kind of helps fill in those gaps that helped the storyline change significantly, especially with certain characters. I think also with the main characters, the main trio is Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. They are the main character that driven the plot and why, it is a huge that's what it is. And along with the filler, it deals with the other characters who you look at it more like you feel like the characters didn't fill the plot, but they kind of did. Even with the filler episodes, it kind of helped see how the characters kind of grown and what other missions they were on and like all the mini arcs that are in the episodes. But I think it kind of helped. I think also with the creator who created Naruto, there's a lot of characters, and I think some people will say that helped with the pace just on it didn't, just depending on what your view is. I feel like even with the episodes that weren't non-filler, it felt like the episodes were all like sort of paced, but I think that was fine for me because I could literally break down into the characters are either relaxing from a hard mission or just I feel like that you can kind of get that reliability factor with them because you sat down with them and kind of see what their daily life routines were when they weren't on missions, or they're just a simple task in the village or where the case may be, or what missions they were set out to do. Especially when you're diving more into the Katsuki's, that their arc, you gotta focus it on each of the members and what their main purpose was when they were recruited into that and what their main goals are. Especially when you're exploring all the themes in Naruto, especially the vast dark themes in a series, I think when you delve into Naruto's theme of human nature and self-sacrifice, discrimination, manipulation, the results of war and peace, and the different perceptions of all the characters of that line of balance in between good and evil and the alienation. I think it managed to do all those things without abandoning the show and type feel that it's going for, and it was worked really well. I feel like also I think there's an example in the early episode of Naruto, maybe in the prequel before they're young adults, and even the last episode of Shuri, it begins to look over these very little details that we might have not caught in the beginning of the series, but have made a bigger impact later on. And when it comes together in the end, I feel like the ending will leave you satisfied. Even though it is 500 episodes, I think there's a list somewhere on the internet telling you which episodes to watch and which episodes to skip. Because also, what I said before, there are movies. So there are certain movies you should watch after certain episodes. That kind of helps fill in like the filler and stuff. And if you don't care filler, you can skip those. But there are certain like chronological order in the Naruto franchise that you have to watch. Naruto first, then Naruto Shippuden to certain episodes, then the movies. So the movies kind of help with that chronological order, make it more fast-paced to make sure you're not missing any details in the Naruto series as a whole. But I think also as the creator, he did drop some clues to pick up throughout the entire series, something that applied to the moments that tug at your heartstrings, to the moments that make you feel generated, but all the characters have this very satisfying building of character development and build up to those particular moments in the series. Now, being it being a children's series, the battles are very interesting because, when they do introduce the fight scene, those fight scenes can really be intense. And I feel like when rewatching the series, like certain points, I feel like in the anime itself, the battles are broken into different types of arcs. There's a battle of wits, the battle of ideology, and the battle of physical strength. And I feel like with all three of those coming together, it makes for a lot of remarkable moments that I will never forget. And I feel like when you delve into each of the characters' ideology and philosophy, they get very tested time and time and again by their opponents, and you kind of see the antagonist kind of present themselves to the main character and test his ideology toward the very end. I think sometimes we can see the character, particularly Naruto Shippuden, try to get not their souls broken, but almost attempt to get the souls broken, where they rebuild themselves up depending on what tragic loss they face. And I think that can be heartbreaking to watch, because when you watch Naruto, sometimes it has the best fight scenes imaginable, and I think you get so invested into these fight scenes, and I will be biased, like I really get invested into a really good fight scene, and it's very the comments are very, they're there to impact you and inspire you, and also to make sure you're watching every important detail of the character's stuff, why they made this move, why they did that attack. And I think also by the soundtrack and the visual setting of the storytelling, which is a very strong storytelling and very strong plot development, because there's certain characters, you question their motivations and you try to figure out why. And I think, having those orders of settings set up to advance, such with the environment, becomes more personal and more reliability factor for these anime characters that you're cheering for them, basically. And I think one character in particular that really inspired me was Shikamaru, because in the beginning, Shikamaru is a very laid-back character, and if you see Naruto, he has had a very major character arc development, because if you see Naruto, then you understand. If you put it, you understand. He was the only kid, and his dad was the only parent who didn't make Shikamaru shun Naruto. He allowed his son to be friend with Naruto, because that's what Naruto did. He needed a friend. He didn't want the village to be scared of him. And if you know why the village was scared, I think that's kind of heartbreaking as a child to figure out why an entire town that you are born into hates you all of a sudden, and no one will talk to you, and no one will allow the kids to be even near you. I think that's kind of a big development because, with Shikamaru, he didn't see Naruto as what people perceived him to be. And I think that's also a very impactful moment as a child, who lost his parents at war, and so did many others. But you don't isolate or alienate a child because of the events that happened in the past, and you don't shun a child from it. As like my grandmother would like to say, it takes a village to raise a child. And sadly, the Hidden Leaf Village did not do that for Naruto. They basically outcasted, and then he acted the way he did in Naruto. And then in Shippuden, they kind of made him feel a little more welcoming, but still, you shouldn't stun a child and alienate him to where he feels isolated from entire village that should be his family, and they weren't. And I felt Shikamaru was that saving grace for Naruto, along with some other characters who didn't shun him, in the series, that made a very huge impact in the series. Along with his fighting style, his personality, it made it very different. I think also with the various fighting styles in the series, along with the hand movements of the ninjutsu and long range jutsu, you get a mix of everything. I think also in the latest arc of Shippuden, there were a lot of constant changes of the antagonists, and, had different motivations that really drove them to do what they did in the series. And, it was different from all the other antagonists. And, that made them very enjoyable, because you don't want to have a lot of villains and their ideology be very same. No, you want all their ideologies to be very different, so that way they stand out from the rest. And I think also, when you have a villain such as the Akatsuki's and the main leader Pain, they'll really delve into their arc and why they're doing what they're doing to bring this annoying world, as I quote say, to an end. But overall, I think, you gotta witness out the series of friends becoming foes becoming friends, and unlikely allies forming a bond that could be either severed or broken. And then these characters that we grown so attached to over the series, you love them, you watch them die, you see revenge plots taken out, plot twists happening, characters growing up, political stance taking form, romance being developed and built, and the world's still changing constantly in the world of Naruto. And yet it can be flawed at times, but that's what the full pack of moment that we enjoy from the Naruto series. Now, I feel like in Naruto, that comes with the core of characters and the unique personalities, specialities, and the skills that they have. I will say that I will give the props off to the creator who came up with these brilliant character design using the color palettes they did to make each character stand out. And I think also it's very important for all the characters to have different hairstyle, their personality, because that makes them recognizable in the anime community, and who we kind of relate to, and having their goals, trying to achieve them, and watch they achieve their philosophically and ideals, and watch them get tested and breaking over and over, then to mend down and to build back up and to prevail, and then crying down, at certain characters' death that we're kind of rooting them to win it overall in the end, and then watch them build a relationship with other characters on the side, or smaller character interaction for that, and watching these developments get stronger and build over time. And then you have the villains who are very complex. And I will say, if you've seen Naruto Shippuden, one villain has a god complex, one has a greed complex, and one is a religious psychopath. If you know the villains I'm talking about, If you don't, put it down in the comments. I want to see if y'all know who I'm talking about. But having every villain in an anime series makes it very enjoyable, because no one wants the villain just to be a villain. I think the best kind of villain is the one you could empathize with, and the one that you could feel and have understanding for them, and that kind of makes you question your own morality. And I think that's something that every anime series can do a hit or miss on. And this series did just as that. Same for the main characters. The villains too have a core that motivate and drive them to the fullest, and so do the heroes. And they also have their own beliefs and ideologies that they are willing to fight for, and what they think is right. Same thing for the characters. And you might find yourself more times than one cheering for the villains more than the heroes. And that's where the morality line kind of blurs here and there. But coming back to that arc, the main flaw is always the final villain, and comparing other villainous characters from others from the series and different anime franchises. I think the final character can be either, depending on your view perspective on this, can be very bland, and evaluations are not always clear at times. But sometimes having that most likely or relatability from the characters, whether it be the heroes or the villains, are up to the viewers. And with that being said, the characters in this particular series, in those a vast amount of episodes, all the characters have their own ideas that they need to come up with and need to figure out for themselves. And overall, Naruto Shippuden is one of the most you have to watch it for the experience to understand the mere premise of the show, and think the show also, as someone who's been reviewing and watching anime from a very young age, I think a lot of anime plays with our emotion. And for over the decade that it's been out, I think also with the enjoyment of Naruto Shippuden goes beyond the series itself. I think it's a very huge community with a very huge fan base that you can interact with depending on what side you're on, whether that be the toxic or the non-toxic side, and the lore of it, and the vast majority of it, although it is shared by a vast community, because in the English dub version of it, Naruto is voiced by a female. Most anime characters are either voiced by female. So, I think I appreciate that notion, knowing that, it doesn't always have to be a male character, a male role voice actor voicing a male character. A female can voice a male character and do a really pretty good job at it, and do the same, lines to bring that character to life and to make them see them as a real person. Because at the end of the day, that character and that voice actor who bring the life is the one we look up to, the one to bring the series to life, and to make sure that they are doing their job as the actor and as the character to make us have this hero in our eyes, or that villain we kind of root for, to see them win to the very end. But definitely check out Naruto Shippuden if you haven't already, and comment down below your favorite character from the series, or comment down your favorite villain. Let's have a standoff in the comments of heroes versus villains. But till then, thank you for turning this anime review video, guys. I hope to see y'all real soon. Until then, bye.